The Voice by Patricia Beer. Beer lived from 1919 to 1999. She was an English poet born in Devon. She moved away from her religious family as a young adult, becoming a teacher and an academic. Reflection. When a child dies in a family, what do some parents get to deal with the death? Stanza 1. When God took my aunt's baby boy, a merciful neighbour gave her the parrot. She could not have afforded one, but now bought a new cage as brilliant as the bird, and turned her back on the idea of other babies. So, a merciful neighbour, a kind neighbour, gave the aunt a parrot because she was in so much grief. The parrot would be a distraction for her. And even though the aunt couldn't afford one, she bought a huge cage for the parrot. And at that moment she decided she's not going to have any more children. Stanza 2. He looked unlikely. He looked strange, out of the ordinary, unusual. In her house, his scarlet feathers stuck out like a jungle. His red feathers stuck out were very easily noticed because of being different. And here the poet is compare the colours of the parrot to the bright colours of a jungle, using a simile as a comparison. Stuck out like a jungle. Though the blue ones blended with the local pottery. So the parrot also had blue feathers, which made him look local, because the pottery in Devon was all painted blue, which carried messages like, "Do ye help yourself to cream, me handsome." So the Devon pottery often has a message written in the cream bowl saying, "Do help yourself to some cream, my friend." Stanza 3. He said nothing when he arrived. Not a quotation from pet shop gossip or a sailor's oath. So he had not picked up any language from a pet shop. No sound from someone's home, the telephone, or a car door slamming. So we have no evidence that he ever lived with a family before, because he made no sounds of that either. And none from his tom-tom. He made no sounds of a jungle drum, so we're not sure that he come from a drumble. War cry. He made no sounds of tribes shouting in the jungle. Or wild beast roaring. Once again, he made absolutely no sounds. Stanza 4. He came from silence, but was ready to become noise. My aunt taught him nursery rhymes, morning after morning. He learnt Miss Muffet. So the aunt taught him children's songs. Because she didn't have a child of her own, she decided to teach the parrot some children's songs and rhymes. For example, he learnt Miss Muffet, Jack and Jill, Little Jack Horner. Also including her jokes. She used to say turds and whey. In the children's rhyme, little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet eating her curds and whey, which would be cottage cheese, but the aunt taught the parrot to say turds and whey, and you can see a picture of the turd at the lower right hand corner of the screen. So the aunt had a sense of humour. Next stanza. A genuine Devon accent is not easy. As you see from the map, Devon is in the southwest of the UK, and the accent really sounds like a farmer's accent, and it's not easy to do. Actors cannot do it. He could though, so the parrot very easily picked up the local Devon accent. In his court clothes, he sounded like a farmer. So he looked like a prince with his red feathers and blue feathers, but when he opened his mouth, he sounded like a farmer, as her son might have. He sounded like our family. He fitted in. So he became part of the family and he started to speak like them. Next stanza. Years went by, we came and went. A day or two before he died, he got confused and muddled up his rhymes. So as the parrot was getting older, he started to lose some of his memory and get confused. Jack Horner ate his pail of water. So here he mixed up the two nursery rhymes, Jack Horner and Jack and Jill. The spider said what a good boy he was. Again here we are mixing up Little Miss Muffet and Little Jack Horner. The poet was very upset because she knew that the parrot was about to die soon. And she said, I wept. She wept because she knew once that parrot dies, the ant is going to experience extreme grief again and all the memories of her dead baby will come back. Next stanza. He had never seemed puzzled by the bizarre events he spoke of. So when he was younger, he was never puzzled or confused by the strange nursery rhyme stories that he used to sing. But that last day, he turned his head towards us with the bewilderment of death upon him. He turned his head with the confusion of death upon him. He said, broke his crown and Christmas pie, and then he tumbled down and tumbled after. Poor parrot, after saying his last few mixed up lines of nursery rhymes, fell down from his perch and died. Final stanza. My aunt died the next winter. Widowed, childless, pitied and patronised. Widowed, her husband died before her. Childless, she had no children. Pitied, people felt sorry for her. And patronised, people used to talk down to her as if they were superior. I cannot summon up her voice at all. Now it's many years later, and the poet cannot remember the sound of her aunt's voice. She would have not expected it to be remembered after so long. But I can still hear his. Obviously the poet really loved this parrot, and even though he has been dead for many years, the poet can still hear the parrot's voice in her mind.